Edit it though?
Edit it?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, mate, if I stutter and stumble and...
Yeah, I can edit it. You won't though.
No, you may have to edit it, mate.
Yeah, I can edit it if we need to, but...
If it's shit, you have to edit it.
It won't be shit.
No, well, mate.
Yeah, no, I can. It is editable.
Good.
Yeah, don't have to worry. Yeah, it's all editable. Let me just make sure the camera's straight. Yeah, it's only 10 questions.
10 questions, mate. Yeah. I'm very comfy, son. Actually, I think I'll get rid of this.
Have you ever been interviewed before?
Last time I got interviewed was probably when I was a bit younger than you, mate, on a current affairs.
For what?
I was a volunteer for a mob called Big Brother, Big Sister. It was a mentoring kind of program for like wayward kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So current affairs did a thing on it.
Like a positive one?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant when you said a current affairs.
No, they interviewed me.
You
know, as a mentor, like what was it like being a mentor?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Well, that was many years ago. So.
Did you like being interviewed?
Oh, it was all right. Yeah. The lighting was blowing. What the hell?
Jesus.
Right. G'day legends, welcome back to Mikey Talk. Today we have episode 25. It's another really special guest episode. This next guest is the CEO and founder of Savvy Street, which is a business that helps small businesses restructure financially to be more profitable, just kind of helping out as an advisor. He's also got a bookkeeping and accounting side of it as well. He was born in Alexandria in Egypt, moved here to Australia as a little kid, but probably the most impressive thing he's ever done is he actually grew me in his balls. So I'd like to welcome my father, Nader the Pharaoh.
G'day, Mike.
G'day. How you feeling after grand final weekend where the Hawks went in it?
No, it was all right. I forgot about it about 48 hours after the prelim, so it was all good actually.
Didn't care too much?
No, not really, but I was glad that the Lions spanked the Cats because there's just a little bit of a hated rivalry between the Hawks and Cats at the moment. So most Hawk supporters of my age would probably be feeling the same way. So I was very happy with the outcome.
Yeah, it was nice to see them get spanked. Yeah. So we'll kick it off. So firstly, moving from Egypt to Australia as a kid, how old were you?
5, just before I turned 5.
Yeah. What was that transition like, and can you remember anything at all from your days over there?
Days over in Egypt?
Yeah.
I don't have too many memories, and the memories I have, look, to be honest, they weren't great memories, but when you're a kid you don't understand a lot, and the only one memory that really I can stand out like it happened yesterday was Dad dragging us off a balcony, getting us inside when cars were bombed. So there were a couple of because it was there's a lot of unrest at that time, just before the 6-Day War, and so I've got memories of cars getting blown up and outside our place. And that's about it as far as over there. I don't have too many other memories.
Yeah, is that partly...
Other than photos that, when we'd look back at them.
Yeah, is that partly why your parents decided to move here, just because of like the bombings and shit that was going on?
Oh, look, we're Copt Orthodox, so we were like a minority group over there, and Dad made a decision that he didn't want to kind of raise us in a place that had quite a lot of unrest was starting to emerge.
Yeah.
And politically too, at that time, there was a bit of political unrest.
Yeah. So onto the business side of things.
Yeah.
You've been CFO for Good Ideas since we started about 3 years ago. I know you always get pissed off about me not entering my receipts, and that seems to be a bit of a trigger point for you.
Well, I guess by the end of the day, you're probably like quite a few of my own clients that, we've got to keep badgering and whatnot, and, try to educate them on the importance of compliance and stuff like that. But I'm used to that now with you.
So what's the dynamic like of trying to manage the finances of your son's business?
It's different because you kind of do have a bit of a vested interest because, like, obviously I want all my clients to succeed and do well and whatnot. But, you know, you being my son, it's a little bit more personal, I guess.
Yeah. Did you ever think that you were going to be at a point where you were, like, helping me run a business, or at least, like, from the finance side of things?
Not really, because I just always assumed once you came back from the States and finished your degree and you got your first job with the Help Group or whoever they were, that would be the start of, I guess, a bit of a corporate pathway for you. So initially, no, I didn't see it happening.
Yeah.
So then that goes back to the start of this year where my landlord kicked me out of my house and I had to call you to ask if I could move into your man cave, which is currently where we're at. What's it been like having your 30-year-old son back home while also working together professionally, I guess?
Oh, look, to be honest, I enjoy it. I mean, you know, what my attitude's like. If I had a house big enough, I'd have us all live together for the rest of our lives. But and I think, you know, we've set some parameters where I'm getting better at not just barging into the man cave and treating this literally as your workspace, which it is. So, you know, I think, to be honest, I think it has been good, because when I am chasing you up for stuff, there's no excuse. You can't give me I'm in a meeting or whatever. I can come in here respectfully and get things done.
Yeah.
So that part of it's been good, because I'm not driving out to Footscray or whatever. It's, you know, we've got workspaces that are close.
Yeah. But you're looking forward a little bit to when I'm out and you can actually turn this room back into the cave, or are you going to miss it?
I am, because I am looking forward to having my man cave back, but one day when you have kids you might know what I'm going through, that you just don't know. Things happen in your kid's life, so where, you know, every now and then they may boomerang back. So on the one hand, yes, I am looking forward to getting it. On the other hand, you know, I've enjoyed having you back home.
Yeah.
So, but that's purely from a selfish point of view.
And then back to Savvy Street for a little bit. So when you started that, you kind of were already working from home. Like, you set it up to be working from home, and that was before COVID happened and before it was a thing where most businesses had it as a set practice.
Yeah.
What was that decision like, and how have you found being fully from home?
Oh, look, it's funny you should say that, because I was accustomed to working from home before I set up Savvy Street. So, you know, my last role as a CFO for the group that I was CFO, well, they were based in rural New South Wales initially. So I was the only Victorian employee that was working from home. So, you know, the deal I had with them was literally travelling a week a month to go do board meetings, catch up with the senior managers that reported to me, because they had various portfolios, not just finance. So I was more than used to you know, Zoom meetings, technology to interact and whatnot. So when the whole COVID thing hit, I had my home office already set up, so it was no big deal for me.
It's pretty easy for you.
Yeah,
I guess
but it is a transition. Not everyone's cut out for it.
Yeah.
I still don't believe everyone's cut out for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you enjoy it still? Like, is it something that you think you'll always do, or do you miss office space?
Look, the interaction, I think you've got to be careful that you don't fall into a habit where you do become a recluse. But I'm kind of lucky in what I do, that through, you know, CEO, I'm also responsible for business development. I've only got a small practice, me and a couple of staff. So I have to actively make sure the work's coming in, which then gives me the opportunity to get out there, network, you know, swan around having cups of coffee while I'm trying to drag in the business. So I do make sure I have that break, but with respect to just being locked in an office for 12, 13 hours a day.
Yeah.
And making sure I'm out and about.
Yeah.
And I do have a few of my clients where it is interaction monthly, where I'm out there on site and whatnot.
Yeah, so you still break it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mix it around for that reason.
Yeah. How do you describe what Savvy Street does and what it's doing right now? Is that the vision for when you first started it?
the vision, I still wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't 100% sure when I first started where I wanted to take it, other than the bookkeeping and accounting, the transactional accounting was a way to get the business up and going whilst I sorted out just where I wanted to take it. And it only took me a few months from starting to work with some small businesses, medium-sized businesses, where, you know, hence the virtual CFO concept came into play, because it soon hit me pretty quickly that a lot of small businesses, especially non-service businesses, like my tradie clients and construction and that side of things, great at their craft, but got no idea when it comes to running a business.
Yeah.
Right, and what's involved from I guess the business acumen side of it, you know, the planning that should go into it, the financial governance, that whether you're a, you know, $100,000 business or a, you know, $100 million business. I mean, the craft I've learned working in industry, the principles are the same.
Yeah.
It's just all relative. And actually, to be honest, and as you've experienced, you know, a lot of the smaller businesses, especially in the start-up phase, you know, probably need a bit of oversight to help them get to where they need to get. So, and a lot of smaller businesses now all use me in that capacity in some shape or form, because they're starting to realise that you can't just wait till the end of the year, go out and see your tax accountant who does your tax returns and a bit of compliance work, to then realise, oh shit, you got an issue here, you got an issue here, you got cash flow problems here, you need these structures set up. Tax accountants don't do that. Not unless they're engaged to do business advisory.
Yeah.
And then they, you know, they're not cheap with their business advisory. The one advantage I have of being a smaller practice, my overheads are smaller. So my charge out rates are typically smaller than what some of the medium-sized accounting firms charge. And I remember once I did some subcontracting for a chartered accounting firm, mid-tier, who saw me talk at an information night for painters. Actually, it was a group of painters. One thing led to another, and the chap that I worked with, the partner, was curious initially around what my charge out rates were for the advisory stuff. And when I told him, he was horrified. He said, mate, you're undervaluing, you know, what we're doing. Now, mind you, my rates start at $180 an hour and will go up depending on the complexity of the business. And I said to him at the time, I said, Pete, here's the difference between you and I. You will go in, get some project work where you're going to charge $400 an hour, $350 an hour. You're over and done in a month. You don't see that client again. That's not what I want. I want to work with these smaller businesses and help them grow and grow with them. And I said, no small business is going to pay that kind of rate. They'll pay $180 an hour or whatever if they can see value in what you're doing. And literally, you know, he was charging me out at nearly $400 an hour. He kept a third and I kept 2/3.
Yeah.
And it was probably, and that was in the early day. And it was, at that point in time, I kind of wanted to have the business set up where I can actually go out and make a difference with some of these smaller businesses, because a lot of them need it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of, you know, I have electricians, I have painters, I have builders, and some of these guys are, you know, not necessarily small in turnover. They're doing some serious money.
Yeah.
But just, some of them couldn't even read a P&L, profit and loss. And my mantra has always been, I'd say this right at the initial, I guess, kick-off meetings once you know, we've gone through the coffee and all the stuff involved in making sure everyone's comfortable to work together. So I'm not here to turn you into an accountant. But you're running a business and you need to understand certain key financial triggers to help you run your business. That's not making you an accountant. But there are certain things you just need to know. You need to be able to look at your profit and loss statement without understanding the intricacies, the micro. But you need to be able to look at it, your balance sheet, understand it, because by the end of the day, you're not an employee. You know, you go into business for a reason, and generally it's to create wealth over time. A bit like building up your super within the goodwill value of your business over time.
Yeah.
Just understanding some basic stuff like that. And interestingly enough, you know, I find the younger cohort, your age actually, who are more open to this, because they're like sponges, don't want to learn. I've got clients who are a little bit older, and I know they're not going to change their ways. So my role is just to help them remain sustainable, to get to a point where they got a business that they can sell at the end of the journey.
Yeah. I think Good Ideas would have been in a shitload of trouble if it wasn't for you being able to come in and just look over and give guidance on certain areas, and even helping set up payment plans with the ATO when it's needed, and just those little things that, like, I've always been grateful for that I've had you there to guide me through all that, because I think I would have been like fucked.
Look, and what I saw, and this is where, you know, you asked me what's the difference. It is a bit more personal because you are my son, so you know, and I care about all my clients, but when it's your own kid, you kind of care a little bit more. You know, I can relatively switch off reasonably well, you know, over night time. But when I saw the struggles of what you guys were going through initially, you know, you don't quite sleep as well because you don't want to see your son fail. But, you know, the basics, even just seeing how you guys emerged, for example. And I still remember sitting down, you know, with you and your business partner at the time thinking, where's the planning that's gone into this? Have you got a business plan? Well, you know, have you sat down actually budget and forecast? Have you got any idea of what your short-term infrastructure costs are? So, and then how you're going to fund that? And, you know, I see that on different scales. And, you know, what was happening with you guys, I get a lot of referrals from clients who are in the crap, and they come to me to help them get out of the crap.
Yeah.
I enjoy working. I've got a couple of startup clients, young guys who actually in the last 3 months, who don't want to get in the crap because they started off as apprentices, working for guys who, whilst they're not privy to their full finances, you know, they know they're in the shit.
Yeah.
You know, when they're not paying their pays on time, when they're talking about the ATO payment plans and all of this. So they don't want to get to that point, so they're a bit more open to having someone look over their shoulder.
Yeah.
To help them get to that point.
So they kind of understand the value of it before even the work's even started.
Yeah. And I don't rush into it. I will build them up to that point. You know, depending on where they're at. If their book's in a complete mess, well, our first focus is to clean up the books, get it right, because crap in, crap out. If you got crap going in your books, whatever your analysis is going to be based on crap information.
Yeah.
And when you're running a small business with tight margins, you know, you can't run like that.
Yeah.
Even getting businesses to understand, well, what margins are you trying to run at? Because if you don't understand that, how do you go out and estimate?
Yeah.
I've had clients who have said to me, for example, I don't understand it, I don't get it. You're showing me a profit and loss statement, shows I've got a profit, but I've got no money in my bank account. I said, all right, well, what's missing from your profit and loss statement, for example? Well, where are your wages, for example? They're not in there. You're paying yourself from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's in your director's loan. What about your fancy bloody ute that you've just gone and financed? Where are those repayments sitting? They're sitting in your balance sheet under loans. You've got to back all that out. Oh, just that little stuff. So now I give every new client a cheat sheet. It's just basic accounting terminology. So when we finally get to that point, they understand what a gross profit is.
Yeah.
You'd be staggered. Initially they don't even understand that.
Do you find most pick it up pretty quick? Like when...
The younger ones I do, because they haven't got bad habits.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I enjoy, actually, to be honest, working more with the guys that have just set out in business. They've been doing it for a few years and are ready to now want to understand. And I get it, when you start a business, you're taking on whatever work you can and build up a bit of a cash flow. But it can be false economies if you don't understand the whole picture.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely felt that when there was times where it felt like we're making some money and then payments came out that didn't really think about it, and then all of a sudden it makes you rethink the whole structure of like, oh shit, like,
Yeah.
is this actually going to work long term?
Well, that's it. And you should be able to have an idea of that before that happens. That's why, for me, forecasting is critical in any business, big or small.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll have clients that say, well, I'm not too sure what my revenue is going to be. And I say, I get that. But let's make some assumptions, because we need to understand what your revenue has to be to make you succeed in the long run.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I also remember as kids, when you had to work on weekends, you'd bring us off like into the office and we'd play on the whiteboards and the computers and stuff. What was it like trying to balance being a dad while building a business, career in finance?
Well, at that stage, it wasn't building a business, it was more building a career, because I was pretty ambitious when I was young. I was always a go-getter, and so when I finished my degree, I was working initially with the Smorgon family, and then they got bought out by Citibank, and that's how Citibank credit card emerged. So I had a really young GM from the UK. I idolised that guy. He was only 27 at the time. I was up 22, and he was very much encouraging me to always look at my professional development and see where I wanted to head. So, and he encouraged me to go out and do the first Masters of Business Finance, and I was the youngest in that cohort to do it. So right from the get-go, I was driven hard like a lunatic, and that's all I knew. So when I met your mum, I was probably working for, by that stage it would have been 22, I was about 29, probably 6 years in. I kind of progressed to middle management pretty quickly, and I was just driven. So work, and back in those days, mate, there was no, and I joke with the younger cohort today, they I only joke about, you don't know what hard work is, blah, blah, blah. I think the balance today is a lot better than what it was back then. Because like doing a 60-hour week was nothing. And getting paid for a 35-hour week was nothing. So I was already conditioned to that. Where it hit me most was when we started having kids, because all of a sudden it's like, hang on a minute, I've now got myself into this role. They're not 30-hour jobs, these are 50, 60-hour jobs minimum a week. There was no computers, laptops, working from home. So I struggled with it mentally initially, because it was like the guilt of, on the one hand, you're setting things up for your kids, your family and whatnot. You're not seeing them. Literally, your mum would keep you up at night just so I could put you to bed and read your books or whatever. So it was pretty tough. And in those days, that was what was done. Back then, generally, Dad, you're the father, you're the male, you're the breadwinner. And the other thing was, we did not want to palm you kids out at daycare and whatnot from a young age. So your mum and I made a decision. If it meant it was going to take longer to pay off the mortgage and whatnot, it was an agreed decision. So your mum was like the CEO of the household. Yeah. And I would joke. People would say to me, "Oh, what does your wife do?" Well, she's the CEO of the household. And I'd say that flippantly. Yeah. I could not do what I did if your mum didn't do what she did. It was simple as that. And that helped us kind of get through. So when I was taking you kids into the office, it was to try to make it a bit fun as best as I could for you kids. And I think you kids actually generally employ, you had whiteboards, computers, or the billiard table, the table tennis table. Yeah, I love the days we went into the office. I have very good memories from being a kid. And so that part, I enjoyed that, because you were with me. Even though I was working in my office, you saw me and whatnot. It had its moments, The other side of it is when you're doing board meetings late at night and coming home, you're all asleep, and I long for the weekends. This is why I loved you with your sport, your basketball, football, because that's my way of getting involved. Yeah. What about in the later years when I guess you got to see the reward from the time you were putting it, like you were able to set all us kids up
pretty well into like whatever we wanted to go into, and that was, I guess, like the delayed gratification for putting those hours in.
Yeah, look, I guess seeing how hard, work as a new immigrant, also, that plays in the back of your head. So, because I even vividly remembered him. New immigrants, I didn't go to any fancy high school or anything. I went to state schools, and even the high school I went to, I remember he wanted to pull me out. After term 1 or 2, it was a pretty rough school. I said, no, I'd already settled in, made friends. I said, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to go. And then I got to uni. So none of my friends from high school got to uni. So I got to uni, I was like the odd one out. My friendship group at uni were all private school kids. Scotch, De La Salle, the grammar schools, you name it. That cluster of 20 or 30 kids in first year uni, I was the only kid that went to a state school. And what I found unusual was every single one of those kids were all working. Their dads were surgeons, doctors, lawyers, top end, all of that. And I remember at the end of first year, I said to Dad, I want to go work. He said, no, you don't need to. I said, what do you want to work? I said, I want to pay my way. He said, you want to pay your way? I said, you've got to do just one thing. So this is all he said to me. Make it worth my while. My coming out here, just get your degree. You want to pay me back? Pay us? Get your degree. That's all he said. Now, third year, when he saw I'd knuckle down a bit, and I went back again and said, Dad, I feel so embarrassed. All my friends are working. They don't need to work. Their parents didn't, but their parents were obviously setting them up around work etiquette and all of that. So I got my first job when I was still in third year uni. Yeah. In a reception centre bar work. I loved it. Yeah. I had so much fun. Yeah.
So a bit of the hard work came in from just seeing what your dad sacrificed.
Basically, yeah. So that was what I was doing. And then that kind of came in. I thought, all right, well, how old now? I've got a good job now. I'm doing that. And, for me, it's all about family. Yeah. Make sure your mum was all right. Make sure your mum had what she needed to be able to look after your kids and go out and do what you got to do.
And then you got to see me sitting on the couch answering emails while I watch NFL.
Well, I've accepted that, times have changed a bit. As far as work opportunities too, I think it's great that that more guys and girls your age are having a crack younger, a lot younger, and taking risks. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. And I remember when you started doing this, I said to you, if this is really your passion and you want to do this, because I was never a risk taker. I was never allowed to be a risk taker when I was your age, right? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's going to fail. It's not going to work. You're still going to have a roof over your head. You have another crack. Yeah. And, we know like other, friends of mine who've been in business like Eddie, he failed 2-3 times. And look at him now. So I think, if you've got a dream and a desire, you should pursue that and pursue every avenue to make it work. Yeah. And if it gets to the point, well, you don't want to die wondering. Yeah. Which is what I think I said to you too. Yeah. Give it your best shot. We'll do everything we can to make it work. Yeah. And hopefully it does. If it doesn't, well, then we'll revisit back then.
Which kind of leads me to my next question, which was around you being a lot more risk adverse than me, and that's I think one of our biggest differences. But then your parenting style has been more like a mate. It's like on the business side it's more risk adverse, and then as a father it's more like a mate. How do you navigate those different approaches, like when we're going between good ideas, business decisions, and then just family?
I think I had some very good CEOs in the early days that I worked for, and some good mentors too. So I was have always been able to kind of draw lines when they've needed to be drawn, and there's a reason for that, and I would stay true to those reasons. Even when we do good idea stuff, it's I don't look at myself as your father. I look at myself as a pro bono advisor that I won't sugarcoat stuff. If you want me to help, this is the way I'll help. Because there's no point, when it comes to business, there's certain lines and certain things that have to happen, and sometimes people can cloud those. No different to when I've had mates that directly report to me, like Boris. You've met Boris. We've been mates for nearly 40 years now. Now, he reported to me. And we became mates while I was his boss. But he never overstepped that line. He knew exactly where the line was driven, and he respected that. And for me, it's about that respect factor. I've got I'm doing something, hopefully to help you do what you've got to do. And then when we're not dealing with good ideas stuff, then it crosses to, the father-son dynamics. And, I think as a parent, sometimes parents can get a bit caught up in trying to be a mate, but foremost you're a parent. If you can get the mate and the parent working together, then that's fantastic. But a good parent isn't necessarily a good mate.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's tough love, sometimes has to be had. If I wanted mates, I've got hundreds of mates out there.
Hundreds?
Hundreds. I've only got 4 kids. So yeah, I think we do it reasonably well. I mean, it took me a while to, I guess, with you, just to, okay, you're a client. Well, you're not really a client, but you know what I mean.
Client dynamic.
Yeah, and a son dynamic. So I think we do it pretty well.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
One question you always ask me is how confident I am in the future of Good Ideas. And it seems to be like that's your gauge for whether something's worth pursuing. What are you looking for in that answer when you ask it? And how do you think my confidence level has changed over the years?
Okay. I asked that, and the reason I asked that is because if I start to see the confidence and belief waver, that says to me you're starting to have second thoughts about whether or not this is going to work. That's why I ask that question every now and then, because if you have the belief and the passion and the drive, then my support to the level it is will always be there. When that starts to waver, that tells me, okay, something's not quite right here. Your mindset's not quite right, or things have happened that are now causing you to doubt whether certain things are right or wrong. Now, if it gets to that point and I don't see any change, whether it's in your business model or whatever, that makes me nervous. So when you decided to restructure the business and go down the path that you've gone now, at that point, which is what, it's been 2 years now since you've done this last restructure, at that point was that point I thought, no, this isn't going to work, because things had to change.
Yeah.
If they didn't change and it was the same old, I would have lost confidence. Well, and for a minute there, I was starting to lose confidence. Hence the reason why we made the change we made. So for me, it's because your sense of confidence, your sense of believing in what you're doing, if that's not strong, then that will impact everything you do. So for me, it's a bit of, I guess, a bit of peace of mind for me, also knowing that, okay, no, he's still got that belief, he's still got that hunger, he's still got that drive.
Yeah.
And if it deviates, the next thing is, well, what are you doing about it? Because if you don't have that sense of confidence, what are you going to do to change things? Because that then becomes the critical decision maker. Because things will go one of two ways.
Yeah.
You're again tweaking the business model to take it in the direction you want to take it, to make it work, or not. You've got your head buried in the sand. You'd have no plan B, C, or D. And that to me is critical. There has to be always a plan B. And we've had these discussions in the past.
Yeah.
Even when things, we're looking a bit tricky there. I'd say, well, what's your plan B? You cannot wake up when plan A has failed and then think of plan B. By then, the horse is bolted.
Yeah.
Close the door.
How have you seen my confidence level change over the years?
Well, with the new structures, because it's more agile and more adaptive to being agile, I see that I'm more confident in the business because I can see, okay, if that doesn't quite work, there are avenues to look at these other opportunities rather than there was none. It was either this or else, And, like you work through certain things in business. You have business partners, you be on the same page or not on the same page. And this is why, for me, the business planning is critical because that sets out your vision, your roadmap, and where you want to go. If you can't agree on that right from the planning stage, then that's going to create holes.
Yeah, it's going to be cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I see a business model where I can see it's pretty agile. If you have to change directions, you potentially can. But I look at what you're doing at the moment and I think, okay. And even your pricing, the way it's done and the way you're working with your key partners, the creative guys and whatnot. I think you've got a business model there that will move with the ups and downs in projects coming in, not coming in, and the timing of those.
Yeah.
Which you didn't have before.
Yeah. No, definitely. I feel the difference since the restructure to where it is now to how it was running before, and yeah, it's like night and day in difference. Even just, I've always been confident in the business. I think it was maybe a bit of blind confidence.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my confidence came from I just believed in myself and I believed in what we're doing, and it wasn't necessarily knowing that this is the right way to do it. It's just like I just have a feeling that this is going to work.
And gut feeling alone can be good, but it can also be dangerous. And that's why I'm big on agile business plans. You know what, War and Peace, mate. When I was your age, business plans were like 100-page documents. And I still remember, even in the days at Citibank, where it took us 4 months to finish business plans because there was so much bloody crap in them that they'll use the store stops. And if if you're not referring to your business plan and you're going through the trouble of putting one together and thinking, oh well, I've done a business plan, that's it, and you don't look at it, then that's garbage too.
Yeah.
So it's just having mechanisms in place where you can put some key outcomes and actions against what your gut's telling you, because your gut could be wrong.
Yeah.
And if your gut's wrong, well, again, what's plan B?
Yeah.
Because initially in startups, the funds only last and go so far.
Yeah, I'm aware.
As you know better than anyone else. So, it's even that, just even so simple, understanding the difference between fixed costs and variable costs. And getting the understanding, what are my true fixed costs? Because that's what I need to just survive. Yeah. Because if you don't have money coming in to pay your fixed costs, you're stuffed.
Yeah.
And planning for that.
Yeah.
But I think you're now starting to get it a bit better. And to be honest, when you made this, things happen for a reason. So, you restructuring your business at the time you did, which got you thinking seriously about whether or not you should even be in the premises you're in. And then, your landlord evicting you for no fault of your own and causing you to have to come back home for a period. They in a way all help.
Yeah.
Especially as far as cash flow is concerned and whatnot. So, no, there's a reason. It's a psychological reason why I ask, are you in a good space? Where are you at the moment? Because then that tells me a bit about how the business is going. Yeah.
Well, the answer now is the most confident I've ever been. I think I've said that a few times though, but I've meant it every time.
Because my hard place is removing myself to not get to... I don't want to be seen as telling you what to do when in running your business, and I hopefully now I'm at a stage where I'm not really doing that. I'm there to provide support.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you got to learn from your business decisions. If If you make a crappy business decision, what are the learnings that
Yeah.
come from that? I think that's an important thing too.
It has been my first time running a business as well,
Yeah.
so there's always, I think, naturally going to be things that I had to fail and learn at pretty quick.
I think the key things are the learnings you get from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recently, you also signed on little brother Lockie as a client, doing his branding and his website, and then basically all our family members only wear Good Ideas hoodies. How do you feel about the
True.
business becoming a family affair?
Oh, mate, I think it would be kind of great if a legacy could be left that way. I mean, probably the one problem with me running my business, I knew early in the piece, well, I'm not going to have any kids who want to become accountants. So, mate, I think family legacies are a great thing if they can be left, just even generational. You know, I sometimes look at, you know, small and big families that, you know, you got your brand families like the Murdochs and, you know, the Packers and all of that. And then you've got, you know, a lot of other families that aren't in the newspapers every day, but they've been from one generation to the next. You know, and they've been in the, you know, 100 years, you know, from one child to the next child and so forth. So, you know, who knows where things can happen in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think as the business has gone on, I would love a world where it is all tied up with family and whatnot, and I think doing this work for Lockie is a good start for that. But
Well, yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
So only one question left, made it
Yes,
the whole
mate.
way through. Looking at your 35 plus years in finance and now watching me build Good Ideas, what's the biggest thing that's changed about business worlds from then till now, and what advice would you give to your younger self at my age?
I think technology is probably the biggest change that I have seen, and the pace of how it changes. And even now, 3 years ago, we weren't really, we may have been touching on AI in a way that we probably didn't even know what AI was. And when I see what's going on, I'm kind of glad, in a way. I'm getting to the end of my career, so I don't really have to
Keep up.
worry too much about it. But to me, that's the biggest change, is understanding what opportunities this brings. I'm at a stage now where, you know, I won't say it's past me, but I'm not as invested in it, because I'm now, you know, getting to the point where I'm looking at things outside of my professional working life. But I think for the younger people coming through, it's just, you know, how do they best utilise the advances in technology, and that's professionally and personally. I mean, I see a lot that I think is just cooked and wrong, and I'm glad I'm not a teenager having access to what they have. The use of social media, good and bad. I see the garbage that is now getting pumped into people's head. You know, in the older days, mate, I can pick up one newspaper, read it, and get a good feel of what's going on in the world, whereas unbiased.
Yeah.
Whereas today, I feel if you really want to have a true perspective of the full picture, you've probably got to watch 7 different medias, from Sky News that at one spectrum to the ABC that at the other, and then somewhere in the middle is some of the other mainstream, but then that's influenced by who's financing these people. Then you get on social media and there's so many different cooked versions of what's going on out there that's really hard to get a gauge on what is actually really the state of affairs. So I'm a bit cynical now. When I just look at stuff, I'm thinking, oh well, I'm looking at something that's probably 10% of what's really happening, and you know, so it's probably more complex, I reckon,
Yeah.
for the younger cohort, because of, you know, technology there's so much to get your head around.
Yeah.
I think
And it's 24/7 as well.
that's
like it's
the other
always
thing.
there.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's the technology, and it's not just computers; it's what comes with it. Like now, AI and what does that mean actually for the world?
Yeah.
And it's quite scary to see the pace that it's going at.
That's right.
Literally.
You can retire to your beach house and just drink your margaritas by the ocean.
Play a lot of golf, mate. Not worry about anything. So,
We'll agree with that.
Yeah.
What have you got to look forward to over the next year or so?
I guess doing a bit more with your mother. To be honest, it's fun. Not that raising families not fun, but just a bit more travelling, and that's not necessarily overseas travelling, and really just seeing the next stages of all your kids. Chelsea's wedding's coming up, seeing where that and the evolution of like your next journey of your life. Lockie, where he's going now with his business ventures, hopefully. Daniel with what the trip to Egypt means to him and where that goes. So really just I think having the fun part of life when you kind of get to this age is now doing some more of the fun stuff.
Yeah, and working a bit less.
Yeah, 100%. Like I'll keep growing the business, but I'll be working less in it.
Yeah.
I just can't see myself just saying, all right, in 2 years' time, that's it, I'm going to stop work.
Yeah.
My brain's too active for that. But there's I got quite a few friends now in the same boat. They've got their businesses, they've got staff that run them. They're out doing more of the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And as long as that continues, I'll keep the business going.
Golf and coffee.
That's it. Golf and coffee, yeah.
Well, thank you, and thanks for everything with Good Ideas.
No, my pleasure, mate.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you helping it. So I am very grateful for it.
No, my pleasure, and I'll look forward to the next phase of evolution within Good Ideas.
See, part 2.
Right. Good on you.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Well, yeah, mate.
That was easy. We didn't have to edit any of that.
No, that was good.
You didn't cook it.